How's it going, Rogues Gallery selectors, and welcome back to another WIXOSS video here on Red Zone Rogue. Today we have another WIXOSS deck tech for you, and of course, you knew it had to happen sooner or later. We have an Alfou deck, my absolute favorite WIXOSS character, and you know, look how pretty she is. Look how pretty she is. So we have an Alfou deck. This is actually a virtual Alfou deck using a lot of the cards from the Niji Sanji deck. This is still pretty relevant in the current meta, and actually kind of easy to build because you really only need cards mostly from that Niji Sanji list, plus Alfou and our Lrig. So yeah, kick back and let's do a deck tech featuring my favorite WIXOSS character. Yo, I'm so stoked that she's actually in the game and I could do a deck tech with her in English. It's so cool. It's been so long since we first did that, like that Alfou deck opening years back. So I'm pretty excited for that. And you know what? While you're hanging out, maybe like the video, maybe comment, maybe subscribe. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the support on the WIXOSS content and the passion that the community and the fans have. You're all great, and thank you for being here. All right, let's go on with the deck tech. All right, let's start talking about Alfou Cheering Diva. Once again, my favorite character in WIXOSS, and we had to bust out the only playmat that I have that has Alfou on it here, just for the Alfou deck tech. Yeah, let's get on with it. We're gonna talk about the Lrig deck first, and then we're gonna talk about our main deck. This is a virtual deck, so this is all like the Niji Sanji stuff, and as such, made deck building kind of tricky. I've seen some other lists out there, but I have tweaked it and modified it until I found something that I like. I still might tweak it a little bit in the future, but I do like this version of the deck. So we have Alfou Cheering Diva. She's pretty strong on her own. She has, you know, the standard stat line, but she is a black Lrig. So we do care about black. We're running black Lrigs and white Lrigs to kind of go with our black and white virtual theme. And she has a once per turn effect of when our opponent refreshes their deck, draw a card or enter charge 1. And we are going to be basically refreshing our opponent's deck a couple times. Basically, we want to do it twice in a turn and just absolutely dumpster their life cloth. She has a enter effect of you vanish any Signi on our opponent's field, which is really great. There's no restrictions on that. And then a once per turn effect of put the top 8 cards of our opponent's deck into their trash, then removed up to 3 cards without a guard in their trash from the game. So that's really good. Just gonna get rid of some stuff permanently, especially if they only have like a couple copies here or there, and then we never have to worry about it again. If they're only running like 2 of the Dissona Bang, boom, they're gone. Don't have to worry about that again. Make it just that much more difficult for our opponent to win. So Alfou's great. She has this constant effect of we can draw a card or enter charge 1 when we do our refresh our opponent. She helps us refresh our opponent, and she also clears a lane. Yeah, she's not only my favorite character, but she's also pretty strong. So that is our level 3. Let's just go over quickly. I'm doing a little bit of a flex with this deck because, once again, Alfou is my favorite. So we have our sleepy Alfou. Then we have Alfou level 1, and I like showing these off just because a big part of WIXOSS is just how pretty the cards are. We have our Alfou level 2, and then we have our Alfou 3. All right, so let's go over our support. We're running some pretty common support Lrigs. If you watched the last video, you've seen these before, basically, because I like to run these on a lot of decks. So we have Yuki 0 as our first support. We have Yuki Pawn, pretty good. It's a 0 cost that basically draws you 2 cards. So you're gonna look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal up to 2 of them without guard, and then put them in your hand. Pretty good. Put the last card on the bottom of the deck. So that's great. 0 cost, draw 2, more or less. It's like a selection. And then we have Yuki Boo Boo. So I've seen other versions of people running Yuki. They run the 0 drop Yuki that basically prevents 1 damage, and it can come back to their hand or come back to your hand unless your opponent pays. This one is like a, you know, conditional block 3. So this one costs 3. You can do main phase or attack phase timing, and then it says target Signi on our opponent's field gains. The Signi cannot attack until the end of the turn unless our opponent discards 3 cards, and then target Signi on our opponent's field gains. The Signi cannot attack unless our opponent pays 3, and then if you pay 3, So another 3, so 6 total, and one of them being white, or one of them being white. Target Signi on opponent's field just can't attack. So you can make it so they can't attack unless they discard 3 cards, pay 3, and then one of them just can't attack at all. So conditional, like, stop 3. We are running Urith as our last support, and these are the exact same Urith that you may or may not have saw in the previous Hanayo Disona deck tech. So we are running Urith Scare. This is my foil one. 0 drop, vanish a level 1, and then you mill your opponent 4, which is great. And we really care about milling our opponent. And like I said, we want to get to that point where we can mill our opponent with Alfou, yeet their deck, and then use our piece card and yeet their deck a second time in the same turn. And then we're running Urith Afflict, same kind of deal that we ran in the previous deck. Main phase timing, attack phase timing. It costs 1 to play and then another 1 to activate its effect. More or less, you definitely want to activate the effect. Target Signi on your opponent's field gains -1k power for each card in your trash until end of turn, and then each player puts the top 4 cards of their deck into their trash, right? So helps us fill, you know, our bin to maximize on Urith's effect, and also mills our opponent for 4. So we can do our Alfou shenanigans. Pretty solid. And so that's our Lrig suite. I also wanted to just point out the piece cards are ridiculous. Before that, here's my other level 0 Alfous that I sometimes toss in. Sometimes I'll play with this other sleepy Alfou, or I'll play with like my Valentine's Alfou, or the wedding Alfou, or just the regular Alfou. But anyway, I run these in my I run these in the box just cause. I didn't show off the backs. I like to kind of theme my Lrig deck, and I really like Orcus from Shadowverse, and she kind of looks like Alfou. Red eyes, silver hair, good combination. Anyway, okay, let's get back onto this. So we have our 2 piece cards. These are virtual, basically, piece cards, and well, they're kind of ridiculous. So they both cost 0. The first one you always have to play is Celine Girls Academy After School. This is main phase timing, 0 cost. As you use this piece, you may exceed 4. Yes, we definitely want to do that. This is our only exceed in the deck. As an additional cost, which means you put 4 cards underneath your Lrig into the trash, right? And any combination of your Lrigs, support or your center. And it says, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal 2 virtual Signi from them, and add them to your hand. So it's basically like a draw 2. And then put the rest on the bottom, yada yada. If you paid exceed 4, enter charge 1. So it's basically a 0 cost, draw 2, enter charge 1. But you get the 2 best cards from the top of your deck. The top 5 cards of your deck. Really good. Lets us pick the cards that we need. Usually one of the lane clearers, but we have to do this because it is also a relay card. So you can see right here, it says piece relay, which is important for the second piece. And this piece is ridiculous. It's a 0 drop piece. This has Dream Team, which means we need to have 1 or more black Lrig on our team, which we do. And you can only have 1 Dream Team piece. And it says, other use condition. You also have to have used a relay piece during this game. So you need to fulfill both of those conditions. You have to play your relay piece first, and then you have to have at least 1 or more black Lrig. We got 2. But anyway, the effect is, if your Sentinel Lrig is level 3 or more, put the top 2,434 cards from our opponent's deck into their trash. So you just mill them, right? You just get a full mill. I love how they almost dropped the card. I love how they put the 2434 there, which is a reference to a lot of the Niji Sanji stuff. So anyway, the idea is that we play both of these pieces, perhaps in the same turn, perhaps not, but you want to do this right after you refresh with Alfou, right? So you get the Alfou refresh, get the mill, get their final cards, and then they have refreshed their deck. It's all ready to go, and then you just mill them again with this. Great way to push a lot of really, really hard to deal with damage. Excellent. All right, let's move on to the main deck. These are our only non-virtual cards. It's just our servants. And yep, I picked the pretty servants here. So we have our servants, slam those next to Alfou. And we're gonna kind of break this down by level. we have cards that basically clear lanes, cards that protect our stuff, cards that help us go big. The clearing lanes ones are my favorites, and I just remembered I am also running a spell too. So I should have said this is our only non-virtual Signi in the deck. We are running a spell. Let's show off the spell first, right? This is a card you could potentially cut, but I saw a list running this, and I wanted to try it out, and it turns out I like it. I like it in this list. So this is Good Dig. It costs 1 white and 1 of any. You basically look at the top 7 cards of your deck, and you get 2 cards from them. You reveal them, put them in your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your deck in a random order, and that's what it does. You get the 2 best cards or 2 best Signi from the top 7 cards of your deck. You can pick guards, you can pick whatever you want. And it also has a life burst. If you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal a Signi from them, add it to your hand, which could be good if you reveal a guard, or put it on your field, which could be good if you need to fill a lane so your opponent can't attack you. And put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So yeah, I like Good Dig. It does have some kind of like non-bow effects, being a spell and not a virtual card with some cards, like Sasaki Saku here. Well, let's just talk about her. This is one of my favorite cards in the deck. The original version of this deck had only 2, and this is like, I need to fit another one. Like, she's so good. She's so good. So, Sasaki here is just 1k power, but she's a little bit bigger. She says, during your turn, the Signi gets plus 1,000 power for every 5 virtual Signi in your trash. So if you have big trash, she gets bigger. Also, whenever she attacks, you can pay 1 black. If you do, target Signi on your opponent's field gets minus 12k power until end of turn, which is great. So she's just really good at clearing lanes. On attack, basically clears a lane. And then also, on enter, put the top 2 cards of your deck into your trash. And also on enter, put the top card of your deck into your trash. If that card is not a virtual Signi, down this Signi, which is pretty bad. We do have 4 whiffs, or 6 whiffs actually. We have the 4 servants, and we have the 2 spells. So we do have some whiffs in the deck, but it's pretty unlikely. Anyway, we're running 3 copies of her. She's just really good at clearing lanes, yeah, I like it. Next up, we have Nishizono Chiguza. I'm sorry if I mispronounced the names. This one helps us attack with our Lrig more, which is great. It's really good damage to get through. So another 3, level 3, another 10k attack. And she says, once per turn, when an Lrig on your field attacks, if there are 3 virtual Signi on your field, you can pay 2 white. If you do, up that Lrig that attacked, and it loses abilities until end of turn. So basically, you can pay 2 white and get 2 attacks with your Lrig, which is really, really strong. We're running 2 copies of her. And I do want to mention, we're running a lot of like 2-ofs and 1-ofs for the level 3s, but we have a ton of ways to get these back and recur them. That's part of the theming of this deck. We have ways to dig for our Signis, and we have ways to recur our Signis. So yeah, so that's her first effect. Her second effect is one of the ways we can dig for Signis. So we can also pay a white on enter, look at the top 3 cards of our deck, reveal a virtual Signi, put it in her hand, put the rest on the bottom of her deck in any order. So she helps dig for stuff, and she gives us multiple attacks with our Lrig. All right, so here we have a Takamiya, code 2434. This one is just another 1k or 10k. And she says, at the beginning of your attack phase, target Signi on your opponent's field gets minus 3k power for each virtual Signi on your field until end of turn. So basically you give something minus 9k at the start of combat. I did have more copies of her in a different iteration of this deck, but I swapped one out for a Saku here. And just a second effect of you can pay a black on enter, and then put a level 1 virtual Signi from our trash onto the field. And that's relevant because she has like a little buddy. Let me get the little buddy out here. And so here's the little buddy. Little buddy is a level 1 Signi, so you can use the effect to get the level 1 Signi back. This is Debaby Biru. Anyway, it's a level 1, 2k. What's relevant is on enter, you can pay a black, and then target Signi on our opponent's field gets minus 2k power until end of turn. But if there's a Takamiya Rion on our field, which is her, if there's one of her on our field, that Signi gets minus 5k power instead. So she kind of like combos with herself. She can kind of be like a 2-lane clear if you have 2 open black enter. So you can play her, right, and then use her effect to get your little demon buddy back. and then give something minus 5k, and then presumably you have another Signi and give something minus 9k, clear some lanes. They're pretty good. So I'm running 2 of the little demon buddies and 1 of our Takamiya Rion. I think she's all right. Like I said, previous versions of the deck ran 2, but I found that, I don't know, I like the 12k. I like the 12k from her more, a little bit more. This one is an interesting card. This one is Suo Sango, code 2434. They're all code 2434. 12k attack, can be a little bit more. So this card is says at the beginning of your attack phase, if there are exactly 5 different Selene Girls Academy Signi on your field and your enter zone, this Signi's power becomes 35,000 until the end of our opponent's next end phase. So she becomes basically unkillable by any effects that don't just immediately kill the Signi, right? She survives all the minus 12Ks. She survives all of the, 10K or less abilities. She dies to the 10K or more abilities, but yeah, anyway, so she can become huge. And there are exactly 5 different Selene Girls Academy Signi in the deck, including herself. So she's one of them. And she has an enter effect of a black. Look at the top 3 cards of your, or put the top 3 cards of your deck in the trash, and then you can put a target virtual Signi from our trash to the field. So this is a great way to basically regrow a Signi, get a Signi back, right? Any Signi you want. And she also has a life burst of add a Signi without a guard from your trash to your hand or put it on the field. Pretty good effect. I'm just running 1 copy of her. Previous versions had a lot of copies of her. Basically, you want to more or less use it for the second effect. The first effect is a little difficult to pull off, I found. All right, so we're running 2 Lane Pattersons next. As you can see, we're running a lot of level 3s. I think we're running 14 level 3s in this deck. 12k attack. She has a life burst of vanish target level 2 or less Signi on our opponent's field. Pretty good. And it says, during our opponent's turn, if another Signi on our field would be vanished, instead you may vanish this Signi. So she kind of protects our squad here, which is pretty good if we have some really powerful level 3s like these 2 up here. And she also has another effect of at the beginning of your attack phase, if all Signi on our field are virtual, basically our opponent mills 3 cards. Then, if the total level of the Signi milled that way is exactly 7, then you mill another 7. So she can potentially mill 10 every single attack phase. She's really, really strong, and once again helps with our Alfou kind of mill strategy. We're running 2 of her in the deck. Next up is one that I didn't like as much, but I like a little bit. This is one that I'm always like taking out some and putting them in, and maybe I put in another lane for the extra mill, but you do have to keep in mind that this one has a life burst, and you want to swap a life burst with another life burst, and these cards here have no life burst. In all honesty, if these had life bursts, I would probably take some of these out to put some more of these ones in, but we're pretty strapped for like life burst cards and non-life burst cards. So anyway, this is Shina Yuika, 12k. She basically is kind of like a wall. She says at the beginning of, or rather, as long as the Signi is down, all virtual Signi on your field get plus 3k power. So including her. So she becomes a 15k, just kind of annoying to deal with. Survives all of the minus 12k stuff. And she also makes all your other stuff survive the 12k stuff too, right? So all of your 10ks become 13ks, so that's pretty good. And she has an enter. Look at the top card of your deck. You may put that card on the bottom of your deck. So you just kind of look and then maybe put it on the bottom. And then she can also just activate and you reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a virtual Signi, draw it. So you basically just, you can rest her, draw a card. And then her life burst is put target up Signi on her opponent's field into their trash, which is a really, really good life burst effect, right? Not vanish, you just trash an up Signi on our opponent's field. So life burst effect is really strong. So we're running 3 of her. She basically kind of helps, gum up the board. She makes all our stuff big. She draws us cards, and she has a really good life burst effect. Whereas a lot of these other cards here are more aggressive. She's a little bit more on the defensive side. As is our Amamiya. The names, I don't have all the names memorized. This is the one that helps us get guards back. So this is a 12k Signi. This also has a life burst effect of return a Signi on our opponent's field with power 1k or less to its owner's hand. So it bounces a 1k or less to opponent's hand. So it says auto, At the end of, let me see. At the end of your turn, target Signi on your field with the least power gains Shadow, level 2 or less Signi, which is pretty cool. Protects it from some stuff. Until the end of your opponent's next end phase. If you have Life Cloth less than or equal to your opponent's Life Cloth, instead it just straight up gains Shadow, which means it can't be targeted, which is really, really good. Just makes it really annoying. So she's good at like protecting our stuff. And she also has an enter effect, where she says, put 2 virtual Signi from our enter zone into our trash. So it's kind of like paying 2, but they have to be virtual Signi. And then you add a Signi with a guard from our trash to our hand. So really good. So basically you player, basically pay 2 virtual Signi from your enter, you get a guard back. Really nice effect. Get a guard back and kind of protects our stuff. So this is another one of our like protection cards. So we're running a couple level 3 protection and then a bunch of like level 3 aggression. Speaking of aggression, we have more cards that help us clear lanes. So we had some protection, and then basically other than that, we want to clear lanes and then mill our opponent. So Ponto Ne helps us clear lanes, 2-drop 5k. You can pay 1 on enter. Target Signi on your opponent's field gets minus 3k power until the end of turn. If there are 10 or more virtual Signi on our field, in our trash rather, it gets minus 5k power. So it's kind of like a pseudo Lancelot. We're running 3 of that. Nice little lane clearer. We're also running Todo Kohaku. So another 2 5k, and then on enter, you can pay a white. If there's another virtual Signi on your field, return target level 1 Signi on an opponent's field to their hand. A lot of people play with level 1 Signis. There's a lot of level 1 Signis. You know, a common thing at the end game is 2 level 3 Signi and a level 1 Signi. So this basically helps clear 1 lane more or less, almost all the time. So we're running three of her. We're also running Alira Pandora. She's kind of another little like protection Signi. She's a level 1 and level 3k. Choose one of the following on enter. If there's another virtual Signi on your field, you can have target Signi on your opponent's field lose all abilities until end of turn, which is really, really good against some really annoying stuff like Exia, for example. And it says look at the top, or you can look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Put a card from, put one of those on top, put the other on the bottom, right? I always have trouble wording this. You don't get to draw anything, you just kind of look at the top 2, 1 top, 1 bottom. We're just running 2 here. They're not super important to the deck, but they can do a decent job if our opponent has really pesky Signi. Next up, we have one of my personal favorites, and this is one of the Selene Girls Academy. Oh, I didn't mention, Kohaku here was also a Selene Girls Academy Signi. So, you know, keep in mind the Selene Girls Academy Signis for that one card. What's her name? The pink-haired girl. For this one. She cares about the Selene Girls Academy. So we're running a decent amount in the deck, right? But like I said, it's not all that big of a deal. But anyway, this one's great. She's just a 1-drop 2k. Whenever she attacks, if there's another virtual Signi on your field, your opponent mills 2. Milling is really good. Like I said, really fills our whole strategy. And then on enter, you can pay 1 of any, and then you can put target Selene Girls Academy Signi from our trash into our enter zone. So basically you pay 1, you take a card from your enter zone, put it in the trash, and then you take a Selene Girls Academy, put it from there into your enter. So it kind of just does a little swap here, which is pretty good. You can do that swap to, maybe you want to put a card from your enter into your trash so you can get it back with one of our card effects. You can do that. Like, yeah, pretty good card. But yeah, just in general, low cost Signi helps us mill. Good stuff. This one is more of a defensive Signi. This is kind of one of our wallers here. This is a 1-drop. This is a Selene Girls Academy Signi. 1, 3k. It just says during our opponent's turn, as long as there is another virtual Signi on our field, all virtual Signi on our field get plus 2k power. Really annoying with her. This combination just gives our entire field like plus 5k. It's just really annoying to deal with. Also, as long as there's another Selene Girls Academy Signi on our field, this Signi gets plus 2k power. So with both of those, this is a level 1 that has 7k power, which is just really, once again, really annoying to deal with. And then she does have a life burst effect of target Signi on opponent's field gains. This Signi cannot attack until end of turn, and then we get a draw card. We're running a full play set of her. Just a nice little way to like gum up the board and do really annoying, you know, white WIXOSS stuff. And then the final 2 cards of the deck is Umi's Yatsuha. 1 drop, 3k, also has Life Burst, and it says fanfare, put target virtual Signi from our trash on the bottom of our deck. If you do, this Signi gains plus 4k power until the end of our opponent's next end phase. Once again, 1 drop, 7k, just really, really a pain in the butt. And she also says, target Signi for the Life Burst. Target Signi on our opponent's field gains minus 8k power until end of turn. Pretty good Life Burst. And that's our deck here. We have some annoying cards that just kind of like make our stuff difficult to deal with. We have some really good and powerful lane clearers. We're running a decent amount of lane clearers in the deck, combined with the mill and the guaranteed, basically guaranteed mill damage from a combination of Alfou and the card that just mills like 3,000 or 2,000 cards or whatever. You can do some fun stuff. And keep in mind, we have cards like Good Dig that help us get the pieces that we need. So yeah, this is my current Alfou deck. I like where it is here. And if we ever go into a different version of Alfou that's not virtual Signis, well, we'll do an update and we'll talk about that. So let me know what you think of this deck in the comments down below. What do you think of best girl Alfou here? And yeah, we'll see you next time.